Okay, it is 6:30 p.m., September 30th, 2020. I will call to order the special meeting of the Rancho Simi Recreation Park District Board of Directors. I do want to start off by saying this is a historic night for our board and for our district. It is our first live streamed and televised meeting. And I want to say that it's sort of been a vision of mine since I started on the board, which was actually 44 months to this day when I was appointed and sworn in. But it wouldn't be possible without, first of all, the unanimous and enthusiastic support of the entire board of directors, and without a staff who has made the arrangements for this possible. This is important for the community. We have a unique situation where we serve Simi Valley and Oak Park, and this certainly will make our meetings more accessible to our friends and constituents over in Oak Park. And the last thing I want to say is what I said in my press release, which I hope sums it up best. The beginning of televised and streamed board meetings ushers in a new era of transparency for our district. Televised meetings will allow our residents easier access to our meetings and increase the ability of our constituents to participate in the decision-making process. With that, Richard Lemo, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gina, could you call the roll, please?
Director Freeman? Yes. Director Johnson?
Yes.
Director O'Brien? Here. Vice Chair Dennert?
Yes.
Chair Avila?
Here. Okay, so that now takes us to agenda review. Dan, are there any changes or adjustments to the agenda?
Staff has no changes.
Okay, anything from any board members? I see or hear nothing. That takes us then to item number 4, public statements. And this is public statements for items not on the agenda. I'm kind of putting Dan in charge of this because he has a better vision than I do. Do we have any members of the public wishing to speak, Dan?
Chair and board, we have no written comments from the public. I see. I'm going to have to switch a little bit. I apologize.
Okay.
Hello?
Michelle Marciano.
Michelle Marciano, do you wish to make a statement?
No, thank you. Just wanted to watch.
Okay, great.
We've got telephone number 831-601-9016. It's a call-in number.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. It's Dave and board. This is Dave Callis from Hermosa Beach Volleyball Club. Just have a quick statement, if I may.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, board chair, Mr. Bell, and board. We really want to thank you all for the time that we were able to spend with you back in June to present our ideas and suggestions to add a beach volleyball complex for our community. And we really want to thank Dan, Tracy, and staff for keeping us updated as to the progress as to the potential project at the Rancho Santa Savannah. But we want to come back on today and just request for the board to reconsider allowing us to further go forward in our project and our goal to get these courts to our community, because there's such a need right now. In fact, if we head back to school and back to daylight savings, the only 2 lit sand volleyball courts within 30 miles of here are at Rumpel Canyon. And it's just not enough to serve the needs of our community as we discussed. So if you remember from our presentation, we see that you have the opportunity with the locations of Rancho Madera, which is open space ready to go, and Rumpel Canyon, open space ready to go, for us to do this project. And no future plans for those areas for 5 or 10 years, especially with the priority of the community center that is building there right next to the office, as well as the Estern is the second highest priority. So what we request, especially for Rancho Madera, right, it's such a great location for what we want to do. Parking's great, restrooms already there, graded, ready to go, existing lights. Rumpel Canyon would solve for the need of the community where there's complaints complaints of people being up there not doing the best things. But if you have people up there doing the right things, visibility that will push that a bad element away, I think it'd be a real good addition for either of those. And so what we heard during the presentation from the concerns from the board was around the capacity of the district to work on the priorities ahead. And what I just remind you is you have in Jesse and I the expertise and the time and the passion to get this project done, to do the work, to get the community outreach and support behind these projects, to work through the city permitting. And again, city permitting for beach volleyball courts is just like getting your landscaping changed. It's very minimalistic. It's not building, it's not electrical, etc. And we would also do the project management. So the ask of the capacity or prioritization from the district is minimal because we would do the blood and sweat and the work behind it. So what we asked back then, and I re-asked again today for consideration, is for the board to consider and to say, yes, Dan, please work with HVBC and come up with a partnership agreement that is mutually beneficial to the district and to our group, so we could get that done quick and easy. We have a great relationship with the district, so I think we could come to an agreement quickly. And then after that, then we would come up with a recommendation on which location and do it and move forward. So again, thank you all. We appreciate the time that we had. The need is out there. We can do this. And we have the perfect land. We have the time and capacity to get it done. And I hope that we can work together to make that happen.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Dan, this is not an agenda item. Do you have any response or anything? I know we previously had, is there anything to add or anything you want to say on this?
Yeah, as the board is well aware, and some folks, we have several projects going right now. One of them you're going to hear tonight. We've got the Rancho Santa Susana S-turn project that's been on the books for a number of years. We've got a lagoon to rebuild in Oak Park. We've got a pool building to rebuild. And those are just the larger projects. Those aren't the day-to-day maintenance type projects. So we can certainly do that. But again, like I've previously said, we will have to reprioritize those other things. We're pretty maxed out, so we'd certainly be willing to do that. But we do have other things ahead in the calendars.
All right, thank you, Dan. I just wanted to, just so there was some response. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to make a statement on an item that's not on the agenda? If so, please speak up.
Sure, I've got phone number 805-791-7408.
Does that person wish to make a statement?
If they do, they'll need to unmute their phone.
Okay, there appears to be no indication of wanting to make a public statement.
I don't see any others. If you want to announce if there's anybody else, I don't see anybody
Again,
else.
just as I did, I'll say it one more time. Is there anyone else who wishes to make a statement for an item not on the agenda? Okay, I'm hearing no response. So that takes us to item number 5, approval of minutes. I do have one item that I want to address on the minutes, and I think I'm just going to ask that it be deleted. On page 4, this would be under the consideration of Martin Luther King Jr. Day service event. Third paragraph down, that sentence is not completely accurate in terms of what I said. It indicates there that we should limit it to one group or person. As the discussion went on, I went on to elaborate that I believe it was after other board member comments, including Vice Chair Dennert, that maybe we give one to a group, one to a person, one to educators, something along those lines. So all I'm asking is to be deleted. There was no final decision made, but it doesn't fully represent what I was trying to say. So I think the easiest thing, rather than to add sentences to the minutes, is just to have that, I'll just ask that that be deleted because it doesn't fully represent what I had intended to say. Are there any other suggestions or amendments to the minutes?
I'm here.
I'll move for
Right, Elaine moved for approval, and that's as amended now, correct? And Mark seconded, so as amended. Since Vice Chair Dennert is, what do we think? Do we think should we do a roll call, or is it necessary? Well, let's go ahead and do a roll call, since Vice Chair Dennert isn't here first.
Director Freeman? Yes. Director Johnson?
Yes.
Director O'Brien?
Yes.
Vice Chair Dennert?
Yes.
Chair Avila?
Aye. Okay, so that passes unanimously. That now takes us to item 6A, presentation of full-time employee of the month for August 2020 to David Sherrod.
Honorable Chair, members of the board, David Sherrod is a groundskeeper 2 with the Planning and Maintenance Department. He has worked for the district for 15 years, and this is his second Employee of the Month award. The person who nominated David stated the following: David always has a positive attitude and knows the importance of looking to find solutions rather than just pointing out the problems. He can always be counted on to pull his weight. He expects to achieve beyond the ordinary and gets there through persistence and hard work. David always has a smile on his face and never has a bad word to say about anyone. He can be relied on to work with subordinates, supervisors, and the public in any situation, no matter how difficult. David has finished every project assigned to him at or before the due date. He recently led the crew with the Viking Field renovation project, which required scraping the large crown off the center of the field, aerating the entire 4-acre field, leveling 500 tons of sand, overseeing 1,200 pounds of ball field mixed seed, and top dressing with 240 cubic yards of seed topper. I believe for all his effort, perseverance, determination, and dependability, David truly deserves to be Employee of the Month.
We're going to do a socially distanced stuff. For as much as we can.
All right, we just hold it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations. There's one more thing I gotta give you, the traditional cookies.
Oh, how nice, right there.
Would anybody else like to say anything while David's up here? Wayne?
Oh, David's shaking now.
Woo!
I've known David for a long time. He's an outstanding employee. I've never heard him even complain once. He is the person, or the real person behind the Apollo ball fields in Viking Field, if you've ever seen it. He did all the work out there. He instructed staff on what to do. It is a fantastic project, and I thank David for doing that. I saw him up on the grading equipment, a couple of days sweating to death. But I think he enjoys his work, and thank you, David, for being part of the district for so many years. I didn't realize it's been 15 years.
Fly by. They
Yep.
fly by.
Thank you.
Thanks, David.
Anyone else before we move on?
I just want to say thank you for being dedicated to the district for 30 years. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Elaine, and congratulations, David. Did you want to
Chair?
say anything, David? You don't have, you can if you want.
No, it's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you, congratulations. Did someone else?
The chair.
Yes,
I
Brian.
wanted to, David, if you don't know, Wayne gets the most joy when he talks about the people that he works with, and I like just listening to how happy he is to talk about your good work. And I know that athletes are excited for using Viking Field, so thank you for getting it done.
Thank you, Brian. All right, that takes us to 6B, presentation of the part-time employee of the month for July 2020 to Spencer Sherman.
Spencer Sherman is an administrative assistant 3 with the Recreation Department. He has worked for the district for 3 years, and this is his first Employee of the Month award. The person who nominated Spencer stated the following: Spencer started with the district as a volunteer along with his older brother and sister. I have had the pleasure of working with him dating back to his volunteer days. He has never wavered in his enthusiasm for working hard for the district. As a volunteer, he was always on time, willing to stay late, and always offered a helpful hand to anyone in need. Nothing has changed now that he has been employed with the district for the past 3 years. He has worked after-school care, pretty much all events the district has offered, and now currently works as a courier for the after-school club program. We're fortunate to have Spencer as an employee, and in order for the district to thrive, we are dependent on the hard work and dedication of our employees. Spencer embodies both of these characteristics and is deserving of the Employee of the Month award. So Spencer, you want to come on up?
All right, let me get your cookies. Anybody else want to say anything? Tracy?
I think Spencer would not disagree that he's pretty much our go-to guy these days. So the career position for the PAL program is a little bit different than we anticipated it was going to be. Spencer's really stepped up because there's a lot of cleaning and a lot of different products and things that we needed in a really short period of time. And there's really no barrier to Spencer resolving a request. He sees everything as a challenge. It's always, yes, I'll get it done. I got a lot of choices of things I can do. He's really willing to, kind of think things through and just discuss things. And then you just kind of have to forget about it because he's on it all the time. And I know he does have full-time aspirations with the district. And I know that, I always, kind of feel close to anyone who starts in the volunteer program and works their way to a paid position and has aspirations to grow and develop into a full-time professional. Spencer has a lot of potential, and he's really willing to sit down and listen and figure things out, and he comes up with some great ideas, and he just really, really works really hard. And so I think there's a number of times when something comes around and the first thing we think of is, where's Spencer? Like, we got to get on him right away because we know that we can trust him to take care of it. And I just want you to know how much we appreciate how hard you do, how capable you are, and how great it is to have you around. Really appreciate it. For my whole rec crew, I know we all feel the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Okay. Honorable Board, you guys are incredibly lucky to be graced with Spencer's presence tonight. That's how special he is. I got an opportunity to meet Spencer about 8 years ago when he was just a little kid. And by little kid, yes, he towered over me back then as well. But he's grown so much with his time here in the district. He's evidence that the volunteer program is incredibly worthwhile for the district because we've seen him kind of mold himself into this, like Tracy said, kind of a do-it-all type of guy. He is the first person to go to, if there's a problem that needs to be solved, Spencer's in, is part of the brain trust to figure out what it is that we're going to do to come to a solution. He's a person of character. I know that I can trust him to get a job done where we can't supervise him 100% of the task from start to finish. You can rest assured the job will get done and get done right. So Spencer, I feel very lucky for the opportunity to supervise you, and hopefully to many years more. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You want to say a few words?
Did you want to say anything?
Sure. I won't say much. I just want to say it's been great working here, and I've enjoyed every moment. I've been 8 years now. It's great, and hopefully many more. Thank you.
I hope so.
All right, that takes us to item 6C, status of the district's response to the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic verbal report. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair and Board. Real briefly, complaints, haven't received any, at least at my level. Normally they do make it my way, but in terms of social distancing and compliance and issues like that, it's been relatively quiet specific to COVID-19 issues. As the Board is aware, the state did authorize and the county the opening of playgrounds. So we are in the process of opening those and signing those as we speak. I believe we started today. The chair had asked for a clarification on splash pads. The county did inform us that splash pads are able to open. We don't normally open this time of year, so we'll work with Ed on whether or not, the chair, on whether or not we can do that or we want to do that. But anyhow, those are back open and we will be open today or now.
Let me just make one point about, if it's not practical, I'm not asking that they be open. I do know there were some social media posts about it, and, you know, consistent with the playgrounds finally being open, the fact that the splash pads weren't open during the summer, and now we've got a heat wave. So I was basically just asking because there seemed to be a number of social media comments about it. So I'm not making a request one way or the other, but I just want to make sure we address, you know, address that.
Thank you. We'll evaluate it. Wayne and I started to talk about, we'll evaluate the practicality of that relative to weather and staff time and all of those things over the next couple of days.
It's supposed to cool down starting next week.
Sorry?
It's supposed to cool down.
Yeah. So just for the public's interest, the splash pad normally goes to, at some period in September, usually no later than the end of September, we normally shut the splash pads down. So, but Wayne and I will talk about that and see what we can do. Indoor activities, the county, as I understand it, has moved into red, but we have to stay in red for 2 weeks in terms of our numbers before you can open more stuff. I did hear today that we expect, if we can stay in the red for another week, or a little bit longer than a week, the rest of this week and all next week, we may be able to start opening indoor activities again, which for us, that means some indoor class activities, perhaps some indoor fitness type classes. So, but we might be about a week or week and a half away from that. That would be the next change that I would expect to see from the state and the county. Our budget, we've talked about that. We will be presenting the final budget on the 15th, and we'll go through the COVID impacts in detail with the board and how that's impacting our finances. Suffice it to say, with the board's good planning and leadership, we will be able to make it through this year. It is impacting us. I know there was an article in the paper, but through the board's good leadership, we're able to do that. And that concludes my COVID report for the meeting.
Okay, board members, any questions or comments?
I have a few.
Sure, go ahead, Brian.
This might be more for Tracy, but I know a lot of our programs and the reporter are online only right now, and we have online classes. But I don't know about alt-rec. For alternative rec programs, are we doing online classes for them too?
We haven't targeted anything specifically for alt-rec, although I know Nikki does keep our patrons informed of what we're offering, because a lot of the activities that we do are, you know, applicable to them. So a lot of our alt-rec have, you know, consistent bowling activities, social outings. So obviously those are not being had, but we are informing them of what they can do online and just, you know, integrate into our regular programming.
I understand that. I asked just because sometimes it's hard for them to be incorporated into whether it's programs that we offer other parts of the community, so we should watch out for them and see how we can include them. My next question is about playgrounds. I get that they're opening, and I'm excited that they're able to open. How are we going to communicate that to the public? Like, are we going to do a Facebook post? Because I saw the announcement from the state and the county, but I think the public should hear from us.
Okay, we can do that. I think we'll do that once.
However it is, but from us.
Okay. Once we get the appropriate signage up that's required by the state, maybe we can work on getting some of the message out publicly.
And then for after school care, if things go well, then K6 or K5 and some 6th grade will be able to go back possibly soon. And obviously that's up to the county and the schools and the state. But where are we at for planning for childcare if students go back in person?
And Richard is going to be addressing that.
Yeah, so it's a good question. We're currently working on plans to make sure that we can obviously cater to as many children as possible as it pertains to after-school care, digital learning. So we're currently operating several sites, 3 of them on campus, 2 of them off campus. we're looking into what the school district will be able to allow us as far as on property once each of our 8 elementary school sites are back up and running, even if that's in a blended learning model. So in the coming week to weeks, we'll be meeting with the school district to try and nail down exactly what type of space will be available. And obviously with social distance guidelines, the numbers that we'll be able to take will be minimized from what they normally are. So we'll craft a plan around that as well once we meet with the school district.
The reason I ask is, it's not just students are going back, possibly, but their schedule is going to be really hard on families because they're going to go back for just part of the day. So that means like a mom or dad might drop off a child at 8 o'clock, they need to pick them up at 11. And that's going to be really hard with some people's jobs. So Richard, I appreciate that you're working on that.
Of course, yeah. Prior to the school district committing to a digital learning template, a blended learning model was discussed, and so that's kind of been in the hopper as far as discussions and planning. So we'll be prepared to take as many kids as possible.
Okay, so I might follow up about alt-rec later, but I just want to make sure we include them as much as we possibly can. That's it for me.
Okay, any other board members, questions or comments? Okay, and again, the only thing I had was on the splash pad. It's more just looking into it. I don't want us to do something that isn't practical or that undermines our overall mission. It has been a summer where families and kids didn't have the benefit of that, and it's hot, so I can understand the concern. But I'm not making a request that they be open. Just that we look into it and see what the situation is. If it's not practical, then I...
Chair, what about this proposal? We might not be able to operate a splash pad and have people stay 6 feet apart, but we just turn the sprinklers on if it gets really hot. I'm thinking Lemon Park, the sprinklers are on, it's a huge field.
Okay.
Just as a possibility.
Well, yes, we can do anything you want that creates a little mud and it, yeah.
Okay.
As long as it doesn't muddy up
Yes.
my walking paths and running paths.
Before Wayne drives to my house, Wayne, I did not say we should run them all day, so I understand it could cause some issues. That's it for me.
All right.
Run in the middle of the day, you won't have mud, it'll dry up pretty quickly.
Well, we're getting on the law, but yeah, that would be my only comment. But anyway, I think that the staff knows just to look into what, if anything, can be done. It is getting late in the year for that type of activity, and so it's probably not practical. But I just want to make sure that when there is an issue out there for the public, we at least address it. It doesn't mean that we're going to be able to satisfy everyone, but just so that we're aware of it and look into it. That's all I'm asking. So, all right. So that I will ask this: are there any questions or comments from the public on this? And I'll just give a few seconds to see if anyone chimes in. Okay, I hear none. So that takes us to item number 7, the consent agenda. Any questions, comments, or motions?
I have one comment. It's just my general one on page 2. We've got $11,000 worth of credit card fees. And this is not charges, this is fees. I'm just wondering, it's just I can bitch about this all the time. It seems to be getting worse, so.
On page 2?
Page 2 of the accounts payable, September 15th.
What check number?
Page 2, and it's check numbers 9203 through 9208C.
She said it's several checks added together. So it's on page 2. There's about 4 or 5 checks there added together.
Totaling about $11,000.
Oh, okay. I was looking for one for 11,000. Sorry.
Yeah.
So those are our credit card fees. That includes the golf course, and our transactions are up right now.
Which is
so
good. Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
So that includes any registration, transactions, or the golf course.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And it's a budgeted expense for processing credit
All
cards.
right. Okay.
Any others?
Yes, thank you.
Elaine?
Page 6, 95409, no, 95410. It's for $3,449 for signs. Was that from Corrigan, or is that other sign, trail sign?
I'll let That's for other signs. We haven't started the Corriganville signs yet.
This would be for other trails.
Oh, that's it.
Anything else, board members? Any motion?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
And I was wondering on the 95453 on page 9, for the golf course for 26,566. Was that for the temporary golf carts? Or those new golf carts? The cart lease?
That's our regular current lease.
That's the regular.
Yeah, we haven't taken possession of the others yet.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
And I'll make the motion.
Okay, so Mark makes the motion. We have a second.
Second.
Kate seconds. Gina, can you call the roll, please?
Director Freeman.
Yes.
Director Johnson.
Yes.
Director O'Brien.
Yes.
Vice
Yes.
Chair Dennert.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
Aye. Okay, so it's unanimous. We move on to item number 8, new business. Then it's 8A, review and discussion regarding conceptual design plan for Activity Center Phase 3.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. We've got several folks that are going to chip in here for the report. This is the first time we're presenting this publicly, so we've got a PowerPoint put together. So if there's folks that are watching or taking interest, they can see that. I did want to mention, this is very exciting. This is the Phase 3 of the purchase of the Activity Center. I wanted to note that this is part of a strategic direction too from the board. Over the last year and a half or two, we've talked about different goals and objectives of the board. One of those is community outreach and fiscal sustainability. Under the fiscal sustainability, we talk about projects that could probably be revenue generating or generate some fees for the board for us to be able to continue to sustain the services we have. Along those lines, a few of the items we have is a fee study, kind of a community outreach plan. Both of those are complete actually, and will be presented to the board shortly. And then also the Activity Center is not only a project, but it's also a strategic initiative for fiscal sustainability as well. So with that, we're very excited about that. We're here tonight to present the project, at least in concept. It does have to go through a process with the city and a process with the board as we go through marching toward a bid-ready project. So with that, I'll have the recreation staff start and talk about the recreational elements, and then Wayne is going to discuss some of the planning perspective on the project. So with that, I'll introduce Danielle June, Recreation Supervisor.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Chair and members of the board. I'm excited to share with you the conceptual design for Activity Center Phase 3 project. Staff from both Recreation and the Planning and Maintenance provided input to craft the conceptual design we will review tonight. Get the PowerPoint here going. Okay. The Advanced Planning Committee also met and reviewed the conceptual design and provided input, some of which you'll see in the slides tonight. Many considerations were taken into place as final elements were determined. Staff looked at existing as well as desired community amenities, while also taking into consideration the facility elements that were lost in the move from Sycamore. The design serves to incorporate various demographics, socioeconomics, and interest groups. Spaces are designed with multi-use and interchangeable features in mind. This allows for maximum facility use, helps us maintain relevancy, and allows us to program in conjunction with current trends. Our vision for the design is to incorporate high-quality features that will transform the warehouse into a facility that elicits both a physical and visual experience. Specific elements and design features were inspired by what you would see in facilities such as Mamba Sports Academy and Dojo Boom, which are shown here. When you enter facilities such as these, there is a wow factor that we want people to experience when they walk into our facility. You'll even see in the coming slides that some of the features were strategically placed to elicit that type of excitement. From floor to ceiling, we desire for our facility to capture the participants' attention and interest for the entirety of their visit and thereafter. Think about when you plan a vacation or a trip. You have a variety of choices as far as your hotel accommodations. You can stay anywhere from a Ritz-Carlton to a Motel 6. We'd like to think our proposed elements give people an offering that would be comparable to that of the Hyatt. So now that you have the idea of our vision, let's explore the first floor. Design Element A offers a robust area that will focus on gymnastics, martial arts, personal training, and much more. With matted flooring and interchangeable equipment, opportunities to program this area will be endless. The district will certainly be able to program this area with classes, as well as open the opportunity for rentals in personal training and meet other community needs. Aerobics, silks, and other fitness features can also utilize this space, whether they're hosted by the district or the outside businesses. At this time, I'm going to have Richard go over a couple more of the elements, and then I'll come back to go over the top floor.
Thanks, Danielle. So as we continue our tour of the downstairs amenities, we'll look a little bit at Design Element B, which is our athletic courts. Now, what we're looking for is 2 side-by-side courts, and you can see the measurements there on your screen. And these are meant to be kind of a dynamic area that features the potential for several different sports, both for casual use and for tournament use, for team use. Obviously, we see a lot nowadays where teams need access to an indoor area, whether it be for air quality, rain, all of the other things that get thrown at us, where an indoor venue is a little bit more appropriate. So we're currently looking at different sports and items that can fit within that space, whether it be personal training, futsal, indoor soccer, volleyball, and pickleball. As we head over to Design Element C, we talk a lot about using the most of our footprint when we design this conceptual design. And Design Element C really features a lot of that. So this is all contained within the same square footage, an area that can be used as a sensory room for children with special needs or participants with special needs. Tabletop games, which really are great for all ages, but we have a lot of senior groups in the community that can take advantage of the area. A VR lounge, which is a cutting-edge area where kids can experience both learning and recreation-based activities through a virtual reality setup. And a study center, where kids can come if their siblings are taking classes, they've got a venue to take care of homework during an after-school period as well. So again, utilizing that footprint for multiple uses. Earlier in the presentation, Danielle talked about setting a scene. And we want to elicit a response when folks attend or come on property to what is now being considered phase 3. Design Element D tackles a great amount of that response that we're looking to elicit. As you'll see in the bottom left picture, we're looking to incorporate a large indoor play structure with a giant slide that's equal parts usable but also a piece of art. In the conceptual design, you'll see that it appears just behind a reception area so that when folks enter the property, they're blown away by this beautiful structure that's right in front of them. We'd also utilize the space for some of the elements that we would borrow or see at popular places such as dojo boom, rock climbing walls, obstacle courses. These are areas that can be used by all ages, whether it's a summer camp or a corporate retreat that's looking to get people out of their comfort zone and try something new. Takes us to Design Element E, which is a multi-purpose room and party room. So we talked about all these great amenities, but we need to be able to house people so that they can enjoy them in a group setting. What we're looking at doing potentially would be a multi-purpose room in our downstairs area that features a wooden floor that could be used for all sorts of classes, groups, meetings, that type of thing. We're also looking at party rooms, which you would see at a traditional party venue, with at least 2 windowed walls so that if you're setting up cake, presents, all that good stuff, you can still see your participants as they're enjoying the amenities. So parents will have a place that they can collect, and the kids can have their place to collect and enjoy the property. Our last amenity downstairs is our gym for fitness. Now, one quick comment on our gym for fitness. It's a really neat element because it speaks to the process that led up to the conceptual design that you're being presented today. This process started about 2 years ago as we developed kind of a brain trust of folks to get all ideas together, getting lots of ideas together from lots of different people. In our initial conceptual designs, a gym for fitness was an element that was incorporated. And then as that group of brain trust kind of got together and looked at what would work and what would not, for whatever reason, things shifted and moved and it wasn't part of the element. Finally, with our advanced planning committee, where we can incorporate some impact from the board, it was kind of re-injected as a great idea, and now you find it again today. So we're excited to see that the process has evolved over time and reached a point where we can showcase something that we think is inclusive of as many opinions as possible. To go into a little bit of specificity on the gym for fitness, it's an area that can be used, perhaps that's your sole purpose of the visit. Perhaps you have your child in a program, but you want to get some steps in and get a little workout routine going. It's got a multi-use type of feel to where you've got, again, the goal is to collect all different types of people from all different types of age demographics, and the gym for fitness really speaks to that. So I'm going to hand it back over to Danielle, and we're going to head upstairs in our conceptual design.
Moving to the upper level, this is definitely an area of endless opportunity. We'll move to our multi-purpose room. The large multi-purpose room with carpeted floors is designed for district programming and rentals. With an adjacent kitchen and snack bar, this large room can host banquets, corporate retreats, conferences, seminars, or meetings for nonprofits and local businesses. Its design also allows the district to host small theater performances and extended opportunities for classroom space. The removable divider, as shown in the picture, enhances the space's capacity so we can meet both large and small needs in the community. So as we move from the multi-purpose room, you can see the adjacent kitchen and snack bar. This space can be accessed from the multi-purpose room as well as from the viewing area. As shown in the picture, the viewing area can be envisioned in multiple ways. So imagine a mom sitting with her son doing homework while her daughter is downstairs doing gymnastics. Or picture dad cheering with other participants as they watch the game unfold on the big screen, all while being able to see his daughter's face as she slides down our gigantic slide in the lower level. Since the viewing area serves as an overlook to the features on the first floor, participants can watch gymnastics tournaments, indoor soccer games, or the other elements that are occurring below. The sports simulator and arcade are an extension of the viewing area that encourage active play. The sports simulator is designed for individual or group play and can house a variety of sports interests. Arcade games will feature recreational elements and provide interactive experiences for participants. The viewing area and pay-per-play games encourage our participants to extend their visit beyond the classes or other immediate needs. So that actually concludes the presentation as it relates to the proposed elements. So let's take just a few minutes to discuss the operations. You'll see some figures in this slide, but please keep in mind the provided calculations are a best guess to what staff believes is programmable as well as rentable with the included amenities. More accurate calculations will be provided as the program develops. You can see though in the slide that private rentals, particularly birthday parties, will provide a substantial source of revenue, along with any programmable activities that are hosted by the district. Pay-per-use includes sales related to the arcade games, the sports simulators, snack bar, and those kind of pay-per-use amenities. Staffing would be scheduled in accordance with activities, with primary scheduling during birthday parties, private rentals, and public use. So as long as our facility is open here and we have the manpower to staff back there, we would only need to add additional staff when needed. As with revenue, ongoing expenses are also rough calculations, but they include considerations such as the game leases, snack bar, heating and air, and then equipment maintenance. At this time, I'd like to welcome our Director of Planning and Maintenance to provide information as it relates to permitting, parking, and next steps.
Chair, everyone, members of the board. Staff did meet with city planning, Strauss Perros and Marin. I can't pronounce his last name, and I'm not going to try. We talked about the proposed changes to the community center from our original CUP application. Based upon this meeting, preliminary staff's opinion is that the permitting could be done through an administrative adjustment because all the improvements are indoors and we're not changing the site. There is, however, one exception. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just that we're on, yeah, so please. Sorry.
There is one exception that the city does have to make for us, and that's in with the additional square footage we're adding to the second floor of the community center or the activity center area. City code currently allows for an increased floor area of up to 2,500 square feet under an administrative adjustment. Our current layout has approximately 3,500 square feet. Without this exception, the proposed changes to the facility itself would have to go before the Planning Commission. So I'm hoping that the City Planning Department does make a finding in our favor, that we can do everything under administrative adjustment because we're an indoor facility and not change the exterior of the building. Another major consideration would be the additional parking required to facilitate the entire recreation department and all their wonderful activities in the center. Currently, the Park District, unfortunately, under our conditional use permit, only has 58 parking stalls allocated to the recreation area. There are currently 171 stalls and 6 handicap stalls around the community or the activity center itself. Based on the exact parking allocation requirements for district vehicles and staffing during the day, staff came up with matrix or attachment C to your staff report, which lays out a vehicle versus hourly time for district vehicles and staffing through the center from about 8 in the morning to midnight. Based on this matrix, weekday visitor parking for the activity center is estimated between 80 and 132 stalls. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. Weekend visitor parking availability will be standardized. It's pretty well set at 134 parking stalls. To get a better idea of our parking requirements, staff created an attachment D, which depicts the estimated maximum occupancy for each proposed room and activity. The chart allows for reductions in vehicle parking due to carpooling and allowances for parental participation. This chart, along with the parking availability timeline, can be used to justify our increased parking for the facility. Since the city itself does not have a development code that covers parking for indoor recreational activities, city staff has indicated that they would use and employ a common sense approach to the whole problem. They will be using our matrix and our parking counts, along with perhaps codes from other municipalities. As far as availability of Arch Street parking on Guardian Street, we keep talking about that. The city has no exceptions. The Park District filing a amendment to the Brandeis Guardian specific plan, but we have to remember that this does require Planning Commission and City Council approval. It should be noted that Arch Street parking, if we get it, is considered extra or residual parking and cannot be used to offset any on-site parking requirements. Moving forward with the project. Oops, it's already up there.
I got it.
Oh, thank you. He knows me in technology. We have to do a few steps here. The city, for this processing, this facility wants us to submit preliminary architectural plans to be sure that we can put the second level on the floor and do all the necessary cuts to the walls for doors and window openings. We have to go through an architectural selection process, which is an RFP process. We don't need board authorization for that because specialized engineers and architects, we are allowed to solicit proposals without board authorization. After we get the RFP process, I'm hoping to take it back to the Advanced Planning Committee to talk about the architects that have submitted proposals, which would be a selection process. I should say RFPs will probably take 2 to 3 months to get. Selection process will probably take 1 to 2 months. After that, we go into some preliminary working drawings so we have something to submit for our administrative adjustment application. The drawing should take 3 to 4 months. The administrative adjustment document itself, I can probably prepare it in 1 month and get it over to the city. City takes 2 to 3 months to review that document, and then they have to publicly notice the project. Even though it is an administrative adjustment, you still have to publicly notice it. That usually takes 35 days of public review, but I'm allowing for a 1 to 2 months time frame in that. If we get through the administrative review process, completion of construction drawings will have to be done, which will probably take 4 to 6 months beyond that. The cost, we don't know what the cost of the project is. We've been guessing all along. We're going to have to do a budget review with the architect, which will probably take 1 to 3 months, depending upon the amount of money we actually have and the money amount, or the amount of money it's going to project the cost for the project. Then we go through plan check and permitting, which is a normal thing, 6 to 8 months. We have to go through public bid, which is 3 months, and a construction time frame of 9 to 12 months for the facility itself. We're looking an estimated timeline to complete this project between 37 and 47, or 33 to 47 months. If you do approve of the conceptual design tonight, I'm hoping to start on this project tomorrow with Douglas. He is sitting in the back there tonight listening. And I'm here to answer any questions.
If I could just add one clarification, the look, touch, and feel and the quality of the materials, I think in addition to looking at the plan and the elements, you've got maybe a 2 or 3 star hotel, a Motel 6, and then maybe a 5-star hotel. We were going to aim at a 3+, 4-star type of level of amenity. I think we do it right. Mamba's done really well. It's probably more along the 5-star for indoor sports activities. Obviously, the reason that the cost of that is going to change. So we would like to target for the 4-star. We'll see how the costs shape up. So if we could get some input from the board on the kind of the quality of the materials and that what they want it to be, that'd be good too. In addition to comments on the elements. That concludes staff's reports. We're available for any questions or comments from the board.
Okay, board members.
I have a question. Yeah, this is exciting. I do wonder, however, I don't wonder, I just kind of want to know, we have a budget for the construction and permitting fees and all that, and we're going to be presented with that before we go much farther, right?
Correct. The board has allocated, I believe it's 3.2 million for construction and 250 for AC for 3.5 million. Douglas, I know, has been working with an engineer and an architect to get some preliminary estimates. As we know, it's falling in that range, but as we know with Wayne and his crew, sometimes things go beyond that. So we will have, I'm envisioning a process where we can, the board, if it's over that, we will have some opportunity for the board to reallocate some funds to this project from other projects, or we can size the elements or phase it to do certain things and then do other things as say a phase 2 of it, phase 3, so to speak. We can also, there's that quality piece. We can also lower the quality of the finishes and the touch, but I'm hopeful that once we, our vision, the 4-star, the amenities that are in here, the budgeted funds that we have, I'm hopeful that we can get all this done in one shot, but again, that'll come after we get the architects involved and start to get some actual budget estimates. So, but to your point, Kay, we do have 3.5 million currently allocated for the project.
Anything else, Kate?
No, that was it.
Over here, anything, Mark?
Congratulations, staff. This was a vision that we know when we moved that we needed to put a first-class recreational amenity in here to take care of what we lost in Sycamore, but to even make it better and to generate revenue at the same time. It's sort of like we're going to get one shot at this. We're not going to be able to get 2, 3 shots at it. And hopefully this is a project that we're going to look at for the next 50 years and what we're going to have to use for, not just for this board or just staff who will be gone, this will still be here. I realize that this may be, a cost item that we're going to be looking at. I'll agree with my 2 cents in it. If we don't do it right and do it with the quality that we have promised the people of Simi Valley that will do, it may come back to bite us and not be able to interject and make the revenue that we want to do. And if we put a first-class project through, 4 stars, as Dan say, I think that the people will be very, very appreciative, and it'll be money well spent. It's very interesting, because when we started with this here, when we first moved in, or first sold the building, you have many more amenities in here, Tracy, than we ever thought we'd even get in. Let's face it. And Danielle and their group and stuff, we were thinking very basic. You've sort of taken us to a level a little bit above that. I know that you have Douglas back there who will give you many, many inputs of what, we can do. Recreational will come up above with, we can do this, we can do that, we can bring more people here. And all being said and done, we need to have something out there in between our maintenance and our main offices that will bring the people back to where we were before at Sycamore. Everybody knew where it was, everybody came there. And so my hat goes off to you. Great idea. Now the proof will start happening. You get Wayne to try to worry about it, he'll worry about the cost and everything, and I think the board will have to look at that itself. But I'm very excited that, we promised the people when we sold the Sycamore property that we would build something better than we've ever had. We look forward to the future. I'm glad that you're putting, recreational amenities back in the gym and stuff, because I wanted that very badly for us. And the visual area and some of the stuff for the kids are something that we have to do. Let's face it. My generation, computers, they fall apart. For the kids, it's 24/7, and if it doesn't work good, if it's not fancy, flashy. And we want to build this here so that kids want to come here, moms and dads want to come here. And I commend you all, because this will be a project that you're going to be doing for, we're talking, 3 years, 3.5 years before we even get the thing open. So, hats off, guys. Good job. That's it.
Yeah. I actually have a few questions.
Sure.
Just for my own clarification. When you calculated the revenue, did you calculate it on occupancy of 50%, or how did you come up with the revenue? I mean, because there's a lot of activities, so they obviously all can't be going out at once, and they all won't go year-round. So I was wondering how that came to be.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And we actually do have a matrix. So we looked at kind of the weekend use and compared it between birthday parties and tournaments, and kind of allocated a percentage for each. And then we kind of determined what a birthday party would bring in, what a tournament would bring in. And then we looked at our use Monday through Friday. So what would that look like when we have classes and we do senior programming while kids are in school? So we pretty much broke down by the time frames of how we would program, and then what potential revenue would come in during that.
So you backed into it from the program?
Yes, correct.
Okay, I have another question while you're up. You talked about 3 different positions to be scheduled simultaneously.
Yes.
And then it says, while the location will be programmed outside of these hours. It would not be necessary to have specific staffing. Are you talking about specific staffing being classes? Or just a supervisor there while people are wandering around doing what they want to do?
Yeah, so the staffing that we have allocated is for when we have more of the public use. So like right now, when we have our gymnastics instructor in the back, we don't have another staff member who's dedicated to that space. If they need assistance, they just come over to this side of the facility and we can assist. So we wouldn't need necessarily, if we were only programming for classes, we would utilize the staff that are already existing in here.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, sorry.
No, that's the way. That's why we're here.
So when I walk in, I'm going to have a receptionist there.
Correct.
And that person will direct me to wherever I want to go.
Yeah, so if you're taking a class, or if you're here during public time, then public time you'd have access to whatever amenities weren't being rented or used at the time. And then
Will that person be doing the reservations, or will the reservations be done?
It depends on what time you walk in. So if you walk in during the week on 10 a.m., you're probably going to come in the front door and talk to reception here and be directed to the instructor that may be in the back. So we're going to try to maximize the front desk here and the staff here. If you walk in on a weekend when this building is closed and there may be 150, 200 folks there, we'll have a separate entrance, so it's a standalone activity center. So it depends on, so we're going to move and share the staff between this building and that building, depend on uses and how many needs. So, but yeah, have a reception there probably all the time on the weekends.
Okay, I mean, I'm just trying to get it so I
Yes.
understand thoroughly. And on the upstairs with the snack bar, that would be used just for special events, people would rent it, or is it envisioned to be available to the public?
Yeah, it's envisioned to be open to the public. So
Okay,
it's
so 7 days a week or
I think
during
we-
programming?
during programming. So let's say we're running a gymnastics class and we also have some public use open, or we know that people are using the arcade, then we would have that open.
Okay.
If I could just comment, Board, when you go to these activity centers, many of them have a snack bar where you can get Gatorades and drinks and, piece of pizza or different things. So that's usually there as you're doing anything. So if it were high use time, say after 3 o'clock every day and probably all day on the weekends, our vision is to have the snack bar open all the time.
Okay, good. The other thought I had, which has nothing to do with programming, but the walls between B and E are going to have to be extra insulated, I would think, noise-wise, because if you're having a multi-purpose or virtual, you could have noise impact something.
Yes, in the downstairs. So one of the other things that we discussed too was that parking restrictions or programming elements like that might limit the use then of that other side of the room. So we might be toggling or using them both at the same time, most certainly.
It's going to take some really thorough reservation approach. I mean, I think, I'm sure we'll put our programming in first and then everything else will follow about people wanting to use it.
Correct. We typically put our district programs first.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, thank you.
Anything else, Elaine? Elaine, did you have anything else?
Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Denner?
I am so excited about this project, and I'm going to contain myself to not asking every question I could possibly ask tonight, just in the sake of time, and I'll do so maybe at the next Advanced Planning Committee or the next time it comes up. So with that in mind, I know that we discussed in advanced planning, but we're going to need Wi-Fi for the building, specifically the gym, because a lot of people, when they're on the exercise machines, they want to watch a movie or listen to music, and sometimes buildings block out people's data plan. So I know some gyms I've been to, even if you have your own data, you can't use it. So I know going forward we were planning to have Wi-Fi, but it's got to reach to most parts. We definitely need that. My next question, it kind of goes with what Elaine was saying about the insulated walls. If somebody was coming to me and saying, how is the Park District including people with special needs in this plan? Could a staff member give me some feedback? Like, what would I say to that? So I know we are including people with special needs in this plan, but I just want to be able to answer that question good.
Well, I think one of the rooms that we're definitely focusing on is that virtual room. So we do realize if you walk into this space, it can be noisy and have a lot of activities going on. And so we have thought about this honestly many times before, just to have a quiet space where people can come in and just, be kind of in a calming environment. And a lot of those features can be changed out. A lot of the, like the obstacle course and the playground, a lot of that will be adapted. I don't know from Douglas's point of view, but I believe we will have standards obviously to accommodate limitations and restrictions for people. So it can be even a time where it's just exclusive for the adapted population. So we've got activities that we run, and can certainly carve out a window of time. I think the intent on this is for people to spend some time here. If you come for a class, maybe now you're here for 45 minutes or an hour and you leave. And the little one's kind of bored while they're waiting for their sibling, or they switch off. So the intent with this is to be able to come and just like the plaza, spend quite a bit of time. You either have multiple kids that are involved in things, or you're going to do multiple things, and the kids will be on the playground for 30 minutes, and then they go up and have a snack, and then they go play a virtual game, and then they spend the whole afternoon here. So we feel like we'd be able to do the same thing with some of our adaptive programming, and a lot of our adaptive programming right now is adult-oriented, and we have been trying to reach some of those younger families that have some of the younger kids to do some adaptive programming with them. We've had some playground programs and things, and a lot of the moms are in groups that are interested in that as well. So we can turn it more into a social activity for the moms, and we would be able to do adaptive programming hopefully for some of those younger age participants that we're really not reaching right now. I mean, the majority of our participants are adults. Does that answer your question?
My next question is, I know that we have a need for revenue generating services and features, and I like that. What parts of this would be free? Like the playground, if you show up, do you have to make a reservation? Is the plan, or do you have to pay to use it, or is it just like other facilities?
Yeah, that would be definitely free. So at this point in time, the paid stuff would be more of the virtual things. Obviously, if you're having a gymnastics class, then, that would be a paid. But the playground, being able to come, right now we have open volleyball at the center. We have a lot of things, and I think we would have to equal out some time, obviously, where you don't just have to pay to play. The intent would be to be able to utilize the majority of what's happening just free. On a scheduled basis, and we may have just open times where it's just, open, like a dojo boom is, where you're coming in and you have a lot of different opportunities. If you wanted the extra things, you would pay for them. But otherwise, yes, it would be free.
For instance, pickleball.
So that means,
exactly.
Like the obstacle course, unless there is programming or a class, people could just come and play there?
Yes.
And then my question about the climbing wall is, I didn't ask this before when we were in the warehouse, which would have been a good place. How tall would it be? I mean, is it like the kids climbing wall, or is it all ages?
I don't know if we've been specific about that. I think, we have a very high wall in there, so the intent would be to make it as challenging and, as we possibly could. Again, we're reaching for the stars, so we have the foam pit there, and I think we would want to make it as challenging and diverse, again, for lower levels and the higher level, and make it challenging for people. So
I
higher the
apologize, I
better.
didn't need an actual foot. I meant I just want to make sure it wasn't just like a little one, but it's you can be in a climbing class.
Yes.
My next question is, if people want to have a concert, and I don't mean I mean like a high school group of kids and they have their own rock band, could they play here? And if so, where would they play? If they said, there's no place for us to play indoors, they're an amateur band, and they want their friends to come see them, what feature in here do you think would be best suited for that?
It depends on how good
Or
they
any
are
of the
first. So we'd find a spot for a band, yes, we could do that.
I mean, obviously, we have a lot of open court space on the open courts. We have a room upstairs. So I would say that, if it's a smaller group, a more intimate activity, we thought we could do theater. We could certainly probably do live music upstairs. If we wanted to be in a really big open space, we would end up on the courts.
I know we need to work with the city, but this is an indoor activity. Would the city limit our hours? Like, as part of the process for parking, we have to close at 8 p.m., or could we have late night events here?
I don't know. Are we restricted
I know like outdoor events, we apply for permits,
Wayne is coming.
but being it's in our own building, is there any limitation on hours?
Sorry, Mr. Denner, my voice is back now. To answer your question, it would be normal park hours. We close at 10 at the parks. We close all our other facilities at 10. We're shooting for 10 o'clock for this facility. I don't see why the city wouldn't let us keep it open. We have no neighbors here. We're in an industrial area. We should be able to keep this place open to 10, maybe 11 o'clock at night.
I'm wondering if it generates more revenue if like there's a party that rents the facility and they want it on a Friday night till 11. Maybe they'd pay more than if they had to shut down early.
We currently book Rancho Santa Susana until midnight. So we have events that go until 11, and then normally we allow for an hour to clean up, and we've never had any interference from the city regarding, having those events clean up and basically have everyone out by midnight.
I only have two last questions. Gaga ball, which is a popular activity, but I don't know the material for Gaga ball. If kids were renting this for a party, is that possible to set up temporary, or does it need to be permanent?
So we have a portable Gaga pit, and we do set it up in the park, and so I can ask Richard, would that fit on the court?
Yeah, it would. It's not as large as you might think. We utilize it at the summer camps and that type of activity.
Yeah, so our existing could all be sit on the court.
Richard and June, the way you described the slide, I was very happy, especially that piece of art and describing it is like a focus point when you walk in. The presentation that you did tonight was really good, and I know our community is welcome to our events. Obviously, this is televised and they can see it, but still sometimes it's not necessarily because of anything we're doing, but the community is not aware. Can we just post this presentation on our Facebook page? Just said the staff discussed or at the board meeting. I think the presentation would really help out the community being able to see it more than like a board agenda packet. What do my other board members feel about that?
Elaine wants to comment on that.
No, I have just whenever he's
Oh, go ahead, Elaine.
I just had a suggestion that, on the parking, we have industrial next to us. Maybe the city would look at after-hour reciprocal parking agreement with our neighbors if the neighbors were willing to do that. Just as a way for us to get additional parking after hours.
That's a good suggestion. I think, there is some movement that's going to be happening here, and so I think we definitely want to be affirmed in knowing that we were here, and we're definitely interested in cooperative parking.
I don't think the city would give us credit for it, but at least we have it as a backup if we needed it.
Good idea.
I have a few comments, but any other comments from board members? Okay. First, I want to start off. This predates Vice Chair Denner and myself, but I want to congratulate my fellow board members for even making this whole building possible to where we're even talking about this. And the fact that we're talking about this is really exciting to echo comments of my fellow board members. To me, and it's something that, ever since I got on the board, since I was appointed and then elected, that I've been talking about, to me, this building is sort of becoming the centerpiece and should become the centerpiece of the district. It's the past, the present, and the future of our district. And the design here, just to, again, echo Director Johnson's comment, that this is just a great job that the staff has done in putting this together and utilizing their own ideas, listening to some of the board member ideas, some of which were maybe more reasonable, some were more unreasonable, but it's just an excellent job that the staff has done putting that together. And I do want to kudos to Richard for kissing up to the chair without mentioning my name, because I was the one who was kicking and screaming and saying, we've got to have the gym. So I'm glad the gym is back. And actually, Vice Chair Denner threw a couple kicks in on that one too. But it's excellent that you've been able to incorporate this design and still have the gym there, because that gym would be important for some people, as Danielle and Richard were saying, just individually use the gym. But what it might be parents waiting for their kids that are involved in some other program. It just has so many uses that would make it a great thing to have. I want to make a general comment, or a couple of general comments in answer to some of the specific things that have been raised by board members. For me, I have to agree with Director Johnson on this. I would be definitely going more for the 4-star approach. 5-star is probably beyond our budget, and I don't even know if the 4-star, 5-star is a good example, but I think we get the idea of what we're talking about. You don't want to go to this, make it your centerpiece, make it your future, make it, as Mark said, the next 50 years, and go cheap. I mean, you don't want to make it something that's a disappointment. So at the end of the day, and hopefully it won't come down to this, but if it came down to this, I would forfeit something other than the gym, of course, out of the project, rather than go down in quality. To me, there's so much already incorporated in this, and this is a great goal, and hopefully we'll achieve this goal as it's preliminarily designed here. But with so many great things out there, I think the main thing is whatever we do, whether it's all possible or not, that we do it really good, maybe even better than really good, within a reasonable budget. So the thing right now is to get a really nice recreation area at the activity center built. And then some of these specific things, these are things we may still be addressing in a couple of years, and it may be even more appropriate and more realistic to address them in a couple of years. Some things may become, that we're talking about now and suggesting now, may become easy to do. Some things may become impossible to do. So to me, at this point, the focus would be, let's get something really nice built. And do it with the goal of this preliminary design and all of the board member comments in mind. But at the end of the day, if it comes down to it, and these are discussions, again, we may have in a year, we may have in 2 years, but when it comes down to it, I know I'll be going on the side of, let's not sacrifice a whole lot of quality for, if we have to sacrifice a certain thing, maybe we do that to keep the quality up. That to me would be my focus. But really right now, what we need to do is start the process of getting this excellent concept built, and some of these things will take care of themselves in terms of what we can do and what we can't do. They're all great ideas, and the ultimate goal to incorporate all these things is great, and it may well happen, but I do think we should focus on quality, and we should focus on moving forward. That's what I see that the community would want. I think they would be excited to have this facility with as much of this as we can, and if we can do it all, even better. So that would be my comments. But again, I want to compliment my fellow board members for getting to a point to make this concept even possible, to the staff for putting this together. This is really exciting. It is the future of this district, and it's why the future of this district is so bright. So those are my comments. And Dan?
Just want to, do we have consensus on the quality aspect with Director Johnson and Director Avila?
I was wondering, I noticed we don't need a motion tonight.
No, well, I think you're just allowing Wayne to go forward and get an architect. So we wanted your input, go with the architect. We just wanted to feel that we're headed in the right direction. And it sounds like we have consensus on the quality of the materials as well.
Yes.
Does anybody disagree with that?
No, I think that's excellent.
Brian, everybody seems to be in agreement. We can't hear you.
I was on mute, sorry.
Okay.
Yes, I have consensus for that, because if we needed to delay a different project or look at the elements, I would like it to be high quality. I agree with Ed, what you were saying about thanking the other board members who have worked so that this is possible. This is going to be a center point in our community. That's why I mentioned like posting the presentation, because I know it's a long time till it's open, but I'm not sure if our community knows that we're working on this. And these are some good things they should know. So that's why I suggest we just post it with this is what we're currently discussing. I know it's just a discussion at this point.
Well, I'm all for informing the community, so I'm in agreement with that. So in terms of Dan's question, it sounds like we not only have consensus but unanimity on the quality aspect.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else, Dan?
One more question, and Director Dennett reminded me. Do we want us to advertise some kind of stakeholder meeting or something to get input on this concept before we get too long in design? Or do we think we can do that through the board meetings and the advanced planning committee? Proactively invite this, the soccer community and the gymnastics folks or those kind of things. Just an idea. I don't have a preference either way. It's up to you.
Well,
You have a better pulse.
I'll give my thoughts on it. If we start doing too much of that, it may be 10 or 12 years before we ever get this completed. To me, I think the important thing, and I believe this is consistent with what Vice Chair Denner was saying, is that we just find a way to keep the public informed and the groups that might have particular interest informed. And they can all, again, there's going to be ideas coming from board members, there's going to be ideas coming from the public, various groups. Those can be incorporated to the extent realistic down the road. But I'd rather get something good out in 3 years than going back and forth and nobody sees results for 12 years. That's my personal comment.
And I would note
it will be back before the board on several occasions for several different approvals. So at that time, as folks gain interest in this, they can come to your meetings and provide that input to us as well.
But I think with the input of the advanced planning committee did meet twice. The board has asked a lot of questions and made comments here. There's been a lot of work done by staff. Unless someone disagrees, to me, I think we're ready to go forward with the next step in the process.
Yeah, and somebody mentioned also putting the presentation, attaching it to our website on YouTube or something. If we did that, people could watch it, and if they have any comments, they can.
Yeah, we can do that.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I suggested the PowerPoint presentation because it's just so easy to read versus looking through the board packet, which is the way we're supposed to do it. I understand why we have a board packet, but that visual presentation, it's exciting.
I would suggest that when we get far enough along in this process, we could use it as a program for various community groups to introduce them to what we're doing, Rotaries, community council, whatever, so that they know what's going on.
Okay,
Thank you for the clarification.
Is that sufficient input then?
Staff, you good on direction?
Yep.
Okay, we got our direction.
Thank you, everyone. Awesome. That's all I can say. Let's, we'll plow forward with this. It's really exciting. For me, I think for all of us, I think we're all in agreement on it. So, thank you again, Dan, and the whole staff on your work so far. That's great. Okay, so we will move on then to number 9, continued business. There is none. Number 10, written communications of note. Are there any written communications of note?
I did forward one to the board relative to the skate park. I'm planning to report out on that during my report, but I did want to note that there was a communication that I shared with the full board relative to the skate park.
Okay, and I saw that as well. So, all right, any other written communications of note? I see or hear none. And that takes us then to reports by board members. Mark.
Had no actually, just the board meetings here. CRPD stuff is all just dropped. So besides going and visiting almost every one of the parks in the last 2 weeks, I think I've hit every park we have in either an Oak Park or in Simi Valley, looking around and checking them. I do make a comment that we're going to be trying to open our playground. My one comment would be to most people who've been there, they're virtually already all open. They're already being used. My park that I live close to is used excessively every day, and I will give a lot of credit to the people at the Birdie Park who are next to me. They have social distance themselves, because they're most of the mothers with the younger kids, and they have kept everybody away. And it's really amazing to see them mothers be able to talk, let their kids play, and then the kids are like, one little kid today said, "You need a mask." And I said, "Well, I have one on." He said, "But it's black." And then he said, "I don't like black." And so he went over and he had this little clear one that he had that his sister had. It was very, very funny to have this conversation with a 3-year-old. I thought I lost. But in Oak Park, I noticed the other day when I was over there, they're also doing the exact same thing. The splash pad was all blocked off like it's supposed to be, and some people asked questions about that, and I said, that would be the worst type of thing to do right now. But the rest of the part, the one gentleman came up to me and said, "Well, do you mind that the tape is already down?" And I said, "For all intents and purposes, I'll be honest with you. I'm just here looking at the park, seeing the safety of the park, and I didn't take it down. Did you take it down?" He said, "No, I'm not going to go tell the kids they can't play." I said, "Have you ever been and tried to tell a 5 or 6-year-old they can't play?" When they weren't doing anything, they were just playing. They were swinging, having fun, and that's what our parks are for. They really are, is to get people out and about. And I was very pleased in Oak Park, when I spoke in Canyon Park, but at Deer Hill Park, I don't know if it's customary over there, because we have nobody over here from the Deer Hill Park, but I was over there 2 different times, especially at lunchtime. The parking lot is jam-packed with people of every Southern California Edison gas company, FedEx, UPS, you name it, it's there. And my sign fell off my truck, and the one gentleman came up and thanked us that we were able to maintain and keep our restrooms open, because for the workers out in the communities and stuff, with everything else being closed, they were very appreciative that at least the parks are open for them to use the restrooms. And That being said, I visited almost every restroom we have, and I want to give a shout out to our maintenance crew out there, the custodial crew out there, because I didn't see anyone that was not clean. And I've been there from 8 o'clock in the morning to 6, 7 o'clock at night, and they always seem to be clean. And I've never seen anybody clean them, but they were all clean. So, good job, guys. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Mark. Elaine?
First, I want to compliment the staff on our new dais. I mean, this is really, really nice, and I really appreciate it. It looks good, and thank you. I guess we did it all in-house, too. Very good.
Yes.
Tell them, Wayne, that we really like it.
John.
John Dodson, our carpenter, in full attendance.
I just want to let everyone, you all know this, but I participate in the Chamber Legislative Committee and the Chamber Economic Development Committee, and you're all willing, I mean, you can tune in to that, they're on Zoom if you ever have an interest. I mean, the Legislative Committee has representatives from Congress, one U.S. Chamber on Congress, state, and local, and I try to keep everyone up to date on the district, but just saying that anybody who's eligible, here to tune in if they're interested. It is really good to see the kids out playing on the field since I came along Royal and Darrow Park. I mean, they may be just practicing, but that's what should be happening, and it made me feel really good. And lastly, I want to apologize to the residents of Merlewood Park. We've tried to do something great with the skate plaza, and I'm sure we'll work it out, but I'm very sorry for the situation they're in and people around the park, so I just wanted to apologize for that. Thank you.
Okay, Kate?
Yes, my first issue on my list is the skate park, which I know Dan is going to talk about during his section, but yeah, I'm at a loss. I don't know what to do. We have people, a small group of people, it sounds like ruining it for everyone else because they wait till the rangers go and then they start acting up again, and the neighbors are being disturbed and being frightened. Some of them are sounding even frightened based on your letter, your email. So, yeah, I mean, my thinking is we should just shut it down, but then that ruins it for the skaters. So I don't know. Obviously, it's going to be a bigger issue than we thought. Onto a brighter note, I did take part in Vice Chair Dennert's Brown Bag Lunch Series over at Royal High School by Zoom, and it was fun. I was nervous. I didn't know what to talk about, but it worked out okay, I think. And there were other grown-ups there, so I felt, okay. And I took part in Elia Ewing's candidate forum along with Director Freeman on Saturday, which was interesting. So anyway, and that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Vice Chair Denner.
Kate, I heard from the other teachers that you did a good job of trying to hold students' attention on Zoom, and that's a challenge that teachers have too, so good job.
Okay.
I met with some Boy Scouts and talked to them about some projects coming up, and we're going to have so many Boy Scout projects. One of which is one Boy Scout has a proposal for signs at Corriganville, so that might reduce our need to spend money there. And there's other groups too, there's other Scout organizations, but I just want to say that Nikki Collier is doing a really good job organizing them. We had an advanced planning committee, but we've already gone over that. It could be a part of Dan's report, but I'm frustrated with, not my experience has been skateboarders, but people hanging out at that park, at Merlewood Skate Plaza. So it's not the skateboarders skating. It's actually everyone outside the skate plaza. And the people inside the skate plaza just want to skate, and they want to skate for hours. I'm impressed. So my question is, when we get to it, Dan, in your report, how many tickets have we given or have been given to people for violating park rules? And I kind of want to know what those park rules were that they're violating. And I want to thank our law enforcement, specifically our park rangers, for trying to keep the park safe and doing their best to have it stay open for skateboarders. I know our park rangers have been out there often with their other staff. I heard that the Oak Park Lagoon has some algae or moss in it, but I know that's a part of a ongoing project to fix, but I just hadn't heard that. I want to congratulate our fellow board members and staff. We acted on rodenticide early. The state of California just passed a law about rodenticide. So we saw the need before, and now the state of California has also done it. So I'm very happy that we were able to get that done quickly. And then Nikki Collier, I want to thank her again. She had teachers and students from Garden Grove, Wood Ranch, and now Royal High School participating in painting rocks for the Pollinator Blitz. Even though the event's over, more groups keep getting involved. I sent in a request that was just passed along to me. Somebody saw some graffiti at a cement pad for disc golf. And Wayne, I know you've been dealing with a lot of graffiti, so I appreciate your response that we take care of that. And then, Dan, as part of your report, I'm curious if anyone from the BMX community has reached out to us or talked to us about putting together their committee or their group to operate as the BMX park if we ever did that. That's it for me.
Okay, I wasn't going to talk about the skate park, but in light of a couple of the comments, I am going to say this. This is just from my personal perspective. The one thing I would not do is shut down the skate park again. That just would be potential for more conflict. We didn't build it to have it shut down. The problem isn't being caused, from everything I can tell, at least for the most part, by the skaters. It certainly isn't being caused because we built the skate park. The causes are, it sounds like a group of people who are hanging out there. That's not a reason to shut down the park, and especially something that is popular. And that's one of the things that comes with the territory. We need to deal with the problem, and you know, again, when Dan makes his comments, I assume you're going to let us know what the plan is to deal with it. But to me, dealing with the problem is not to shut down the skate park, and so that would be my one main point that I want to make about that. Number one, it wouldn't be fair. Number two, it would be completely contradictory to why we built the skate park in the first place. So the next thing, Elaine kind of stole my thunder, but yeah, this podium, the whole TV setup, this is really awesome. So again, I want to thank the staff and everyone involved with that. You know, this is our first shot at it, and it seems like it's gone well. We probably don't have too many people watching this because I know that part one of the candidates forum is going on tonight. So I have a feeling that maybe not all, but most local people of interest are probably paying attention to that. But for anyone who is, and we can't tell, we're even complying with health requirements here. We have plexiglass in between each of the board members, and so anyway, this is really well done and really appreciated. So. Really love that. As Brian mentioned, we had the advanced planning committee meeting, and that was, other than again my usual visit to the park, that was my only board-related activity. I will say with my visits to the park, Wayne, I'm just going to say again, we got to do something about the mud on the walking paths. I mean, there is a lot. I'm going to tell you, at Rancho Santa Susana Park, you have probably at least five specific areas where, whether it's someone running or walking their dog or with their kids, they have no choice but to bolt out into the sidewalk next to the street, where they're running. You know, they're going ahead and doing their running and walking and whatever they're doing with their dog, like on the fields that are being watered, because it's the best alternative rather than walking in the mud. And Rancho Santa Susana Park, I would say, is where we have the bigger problem, to a lesser extent at Rancho Tapo Park. But they're walking paths, and they've kind of turned more into obstacle courses, which I guess is a form of exercise too. But if there's something, if there's something that we can do sooner rather than later about that, you do. You just see everybody's kind of making their own path because the walking path doesn't really work. So that would be my only comment on that. And again, thanks to the staff for all your work on everything, but especially all the work that went into the the planning and moving forward with the recreation area of the activity center. Dan?
Thank you, Board and Chair. I will start with the skate plaza. Just a reminder, I can answer questions from any of you, and I can tell you what we are doing administratively. If you guys want to give me direction, we'll have to agendize that for a future meeting. So, that being said, we originally started with staffing the plaza all day long, basically from 8 to 8 at night. We started with recreation staff initially. And then we added the rangers to the fold as it became a little bit more challenging for us. Over the course of the last week, things had seemed to be calming down a little bit, say a week and a half ago. We did pull the staff out during the morning hours because we felt that there wasn't issues going on in the morning. We didn't have the volume, and that still holds true. Most of the challenges are occurring, say, after 4, between 4 and 8:30 or 9. With that, we had the rangers out there or basically between 4 and 8:30. We pulled on that back a little bit for an as-needed basis. That proved to not be that great of a decision. We're ebbing and flowing with what the feel and what's going on out there. We thought that most of the kids were behaving. I would like to note too, this is a very small group of kids that are not behaving. I mean, it's in the 10 to 15 range, or even it's 1 or 2 at times. So, but what we've done this week is we've asked, I've directed that we put full-time rangers out there full-time from 4 to 8:30, and have them dedicated to just the skate park. They had been kind of doing other duties and the skate park over the course of the last couple weeks. We're finding that that particular that small group of kids will only respond to law enforcement and somebody that has a ticket book, to be quite candid. Even if I'm out there or some of the rec staff is out there, they don't respond to us. Most, 99% of the kids do, and 99% are following the rules. But there's one group out there that needs attention. So, relative to, I would keep it open. I'm going to put we are going to put the rangers out there because I think we need a law enforcement presence as much as we can. We have only a certain number of ranger hours available, but we'll try to get the rangers there as much as we can. If we can't, I might bolster that with some security staff just to have a security presence, and then they'll have a radio to the rangers. So I'm hopeful. I think with the recent email we got, I think some of that reflects us doing our job. So when the person suggests that the police department's out there or that folks are out there, I think that's what we want in the short term, because that tells me we're out there addressing those folks that are breaking the rules. And again, it's not many, but because if we weren't out there and there are folks breaking the rules, we wouldn't be able to set a tone. So this element of creating an environment or creating a no tolerance position takes some time. You've got to go in there and write some citations. Brian, we've written 11 citations, and I know the police department's been out there at least twice. I think they took some action, at least 2 of them. It's not something we want to do, but if we're not getting compliance in any other way, that's what we got to do. So my recommendation is to allow us to staff up again and have the rangers out there. It's not an expense that we expected for the park. I'd recommend we do that for another month and a half or 2, maybe if school's open and the kids, some of their pent up frustration or whatever's going on relative to school and all those things. I think part of it is that it's new. Schools are closed. There's things going on relative to just the environment in the country. I think all of that has created this thing at that particular location. So I'd recommend I dedicate more staff to it, some more dollars to it at a proper level. We watch it very, very closely, and we try to give it some more time to create that no tolerance feel at that location. If we're still having problems down the road, maybe we come back and visit a situation where we can program the facility like we do the center. There's options besides closing it that we can consider. So that's what staff is doing. We have ramped up the staffing level, and we're going to spend more time with the appropriate level staff out there during what appear to be the problem hours.
The thing that got my attention, I think it was in that email as opposed to my friend that called me, but there was one person that was saying that they were afraid to confront these kids because they were afraid their house would be targeted.
Yes, they should not be confronting the kids. They should be calling our rangers of the police department. So anybody that you hear from that, have them call me, and I will put them directly into a hotline to call our rangers or that. I don't want anybody out there confronting that group. So, and that they just, like I said, they respond in kind, and you don't want to do that with that element. So put them in touch with me, and I'll get them into a place where they can talk to somebody directly. That being said, on the other side of this, Director Avila is correct. That has been a kind of relatively quiet park other than the sports activity there. We have put an element that is very popular there, and it's now a park that is being heavily used. That is not going to change. We can curb the behaviors and we can monitor that, but that park, in fact, will be busier. It's just the reality because we've got a popular amenity there. So hopefully we can find that balance, and we'll start to get the kids to respect the neighbors, and hopefully the neighbors will figure out that new element they have there. So.
Dan, I know you said we're not going to discuss, but you can answer questions. What were I'm not saying all 11 tickets, but generally what are the tickets for?
I'm going to have Teresa answer that if she has that information.
We'd be happy to provide a precise summary of those citations, but in general, there have been citations issued for for violating park hours. We did have somebody that was in possession of alcohol, another one in possession of drugs. And what the rangers are doing, they are calling the parents if it's a minor, and the parents do have to appear on scene. So a little bit inconvenient, and hopefully that they'll help with the situation as well.
And I would like to add our rangers are doing a yeoman's job out there for the time that they have and the time that I put them out there. They're taking a lot of time to call the parents, to talk to the parents, to talk to the kids. They're doing a lot of social work out there in addition to law enforcement work. So they've done a nice job. We've just got to get them out there more at this particular time is my read.
And I'd be happy to provide a summary to the board tomorrow morning of the exact violations that have been written up.
And then my follow-up question is, if a neighbor saw an emergency, I think most people know to call 911 and contact the police. But if somebody wants to talk to, say, can you send a ranger out? I know that they could call the main office and do that. But on our website, I think it could be a little bit more clear. Like, where do you send a request for a ranger, or send in, hey, there's somebody violating park rules? Because I'm looking at it right now, and it has information for like aggressive dog complaints and how to contact different staff members. But if we just review how easy it is for the public to know who they should contact. That way, if a neighbor sees some misbehavior, but it's not exactly call the police, they don't need to get involved.
Okay, we can do that. Again, if this continues to be an issue for the board at a policy level, we can bring that back on an agenda.
And did you have other items?
I wanted to commend the golf staff. We are really busy out there. It shows in both the numbers and our revenue, but they've done an outstanding job out there. I think we're up 25% for the first 2 months of the year. They've had to be creative. They've had to deal with more people. They've had to be flexible. They've had to do it in an environment that we're all in. So if you see a golf employee, they're doing an outstanding job out there, and they're doing outstanding with the course. We did have a Veterans Day. Just want to report out, we had the committee meeting with the veterans representatives, and anybody from the board that wants to know what the program is, we can certainly brief you on that for our Veterans Day program. And the Jerry Gladden event is next Friday, October 9th. Reminder on that. Our next board meeting, October 15th, we will be looking at the final budget, recommending to adopt that. We have our annual PDF park development fee report that we do. Just a reminder that our meeting in November has been moved from Thursday to Wednesday. I'd also note that meeting is in Oak Park. That's one of our Oak Park meetings, so it'll be on Wednesday in Oak Park. to the extent we need to do that. Or I suggest with the meetings being closed, we could do it here, and it may be better here, but I'll talk to the chair about that. We have an Oak Park Committee meeting on October 8th. We will be making that available via Zoom. Regular agenda items, I will be presenting what's in the budget this year to them. Other than that, and we'll probably be talking about the tree, but other than that, it's a pretty standard meeting agenda. And then we have a golf committee meeting on the calendar. Nothing, no real substantive decisions there, but some input and briefing of the board for October 20th, I believe. And that can, and we have just want again, our staff, apparently it's International Coffee Day on October 1st. So our staff is proactively being creative, and they're having an International Coffee Day for the seniors because the senior center is closed. Obviously outdoors and COVID compliant, but they've organized a outdoor activity for the seniors on International Coffee Day. So we'll be advertising that. That's pretty neat. So that concludes my report.
Okay, so we do have closed sessions, so we'll set up the closed session.
Okay, I have audio, I'm rolling.
Okay, we are back in regular session. There is no reportable action. There are no other items on the agenda. We are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.